Tiffany indicated, my name is Paula Mensah, and I am a supervisory small business technical advisor here at the General Services Administration. And just a little bit about myself, I've been with GSA for over 25 years. And during that time, I've served as a procurement analyst, a senior contracting officer in both of our primary business lines, the Public Building Service and the Federal Acquisition Service. Now, as we get started, one of the things I always like to know is the audience's knowledge of GSA. Really excited to be here today with PGCC. So would like to know how many of you are familiar already with GSA? Okay, so if you could just, drop that in the chat, that'll give me an idea of, kind of, my audience here. And wanted to, let's see. Okay. Wanted to give you an overview of what today's presentation will encompass. We'll do an overview of GSA as well as the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business. We'll talk about accessing procurement opportunities. We'll review the GSA Multiple Award Schedule program, chat a little bit about sam.gov, as well as the subcontracting directory overview, to give you some insight on how to find subcontracting opportunities, as well as take a look at GSA's forecast of contracting opportunities tool. All right, let's go ahead and get started. GSA, who are we? We are the United States General Services Administration. We are one of the federal government's largest buyers. We contract for billions of dollars worth of products and services each year for not only our agency, but also for other government customers. These customers include agencies within the executive, judicial, and legislative branches of the federal government, as well as many of the military facilities worldwide. The overarching mission of GSA is that we rent, build, furnish, and maintain government offices, and we buy products ranging from anything from pens to state-of-the-art computers and technology services. Through our public building service, who we refer to as PBS, GSA provides real estate, space, design services. We own over 8,600 assets, and we maintain an inventory of over 370 million square feet of workspace for over 1 million federal employees across the country. Small businesses are integral into everything that we do at GSA. Small businesses as yourself provide building maintenance services, custodial services, you name it. We typically have a small business that is doing that work for us. Another major part of GSA is our Federal Acquisition Service, known as FAST. Now, FAST delivers a vast number of commercial goods and services, and the goal is to deliver those services at the best value to the government. They also are responsible for managing our multiple award schedule. Here is a breakdown of each one of the buying arms. As I indicated, PBS, they are responsible for maintaining our massive inventory of federal facilities. They are really the landlords for the civilian federal government. They maintain those 8,600 buildings that I referenced, and those assets, include the federal buildings, the courthouses, even lease space. Okay, and I dropped their direct link into the slide deck here, which you'll get after the presentation. Go ahead and take a look and see some of the great things that PBS is responsible for, because it'll really help you structure and understand whether or not your business can do business with us. Also, our Federal Acquisition Service side of the house, as I mentioned, they are what we call our Assistant Acquisition Service arm of GSA. They are the ones who are responsible for doing purchases on behalf of other agencies. They contract for DOD, EPA, Social Security Administration, the VA, you name it. More than likely, the fast side of the house, they're doing purchases on their behalf. As I mentioned earlier, they maintain our multiple award schedule as well as the government-wide acquisition contracts. These are contracting programs that are open to all of the federal government for purchasing. Now, what does that mean to you as a small business? It means that by making your products and services available via one of our GSA contracting vehicles, you are opening the door to a massive amount of government contracting opportunities. And the MASS program is really a significant program, and we'll talk a little bit more about it, but really about 80% of all of the GSA MASS contractors are small businesses. Here, I wanted to discuss some of the specific goods and services each of our major procurement arms purchase. As I mentioned earlier, the PBS folks, they build and manage the federal courthouses and buildings across the nation. That massive inventory of facilities means that we are conducting construction, design, janitorial, O&M procurements on a daily basis. In FY24, PBS had a total spend of over $3.3 billion that they obligated, and 40% of that went to small businesses, which was over $1.3 billion. And as you see here, I have quite an extensive list of some of the major items that they procure for, whether it's lighting, security, again, construction, design services. All of these are being purchased by our PBS side of the house. Now, our FAST side of the house delivers the goods that are necessary to keep agencies performing at peak levels. Really, they're considered the technology and innovative experts within the federal government. Other agencies come to the FAST side of the house for the latest and greatest when it comes to acquisition tools, innovative solutions to procurements that they may have. Some of the major things that they purchase is environmental services, information technology, goods and services. They do a significant amount of professional services. And in FY24, the FAST group had a total spend of about $3.7 billion, and 44% of that went directly to small business firms. As you see, GSA is a very small business friendly agency. Our agency is always looking for great small businesses to work with, and we have a staff of small business specialists such as myself who are here to assist you. And that, leads me into my office. The GSA Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business, we have nationwide responsibility for GSA small business programs. We are really the chief advocates for small and disadvantaged businesses looking to do business with not just GSA, but the federal government as a whole. OSDBU promotes increased access to our procurement opportunities by engaging in activities such as the webinar that I'm conducting today with the Chamber, by working with the small business community to meet with our contracting officers. And we also provide counseling one-on-one about the procurement process. What we really focus on is connecting small businesses with the right people and resources to help them grow. Again, we are your advocates. We are here to make sure that if you are interested in doing business with GSA, that we're helping you navigate those sometimes mucky waters. Okay. In FY24, I spoke a little bit about each one of our major business lines, but overarching, GSA had about $7 billion in funds that we obligated. And small businesses represented 47% of that, okay? And that is very significant. We're really proud of that. We are one of the few agencies who have received an A+ rating from SBA for consecutive years. And, we just really like to toot our own horn about that because we're really here to make sure that small businesses have the maximum opportunities to work within the federal government. Here's an overview of how GSA as a whole is structured, as well as the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business. Again, we're here to make sure that you can efficiently become aware of contracting opportunities. We have 11 regions throughout GSA, including the central office. My office, we are responsible for central office and is listed there as Region 11. We call it the National Capital Region. Those are the areas that we focus on. I have a team of small business specialists who are available to assist you, but each one of our regions have a OSDBU team. And they have someone there that can work with you about navigating the GSA schedule and again, getting one-on-one counseling. Another thing, each area has their own respective, focus. They do training specifically to the small businesses in their areas. They also conduct matchmaking events, events where you can meet the prime. So definitely, if you're interested in working in the National Capital Region, which is Region 11, which covers Maryland, and Central Office, definitely reach out to some of the people in my office, and they're going to, drop their information into the chat so you can reach out to them. But definitely look forward to hearing from you. I wanted to highlight, some of the goaling that we at OSDBU are responsible for. One of the things that we do on an annual basis is that we work with SBA to make sure that we are setting aside a significant amount of our spend specifically to small businesses. And as you see here, we have some pretty hefty goals. Now, we still are in the process of negotiating our FY25 goals, but they'll be similar to 24. Small businesses, we wanted to make sure that 38% of our dollars went to small businesses. And as I said earlier, we did somewhere around 47%. Okay. We wanted to make sure that 22% went to small disadvantaged businesses. Now, that is an area where I'm hoping that some of the businesses attending today may be able to help us. Now, our small disadvantaged business, we call it SDB, goaling area, we fell short in that area. We are looking to increase that in FY25. So if you are a small disadvantaged business, definitely consider working with GSA because we need your help. Our woman-owned small business area, we wanted to obligate 5%, and we were somewhere around 6-7%. So most of the other categories were doing really well, but definitely could use your help in the SDB category. And working with GSA, I wanted to focus on, sharing with you some of the areas how you can sell to us as an agency. These are our top 10 NAICS codes, okay? And we'll talk a little bit more about NAICS codes, but these are the top 10 categories that we obligate within our agency. And as you see, I spoke to our PBS side of the house where they're doing all of the construction projects and renovation projects. Well, as you see, our top NAICS code is 236220, which is commercial and industrial building construction. We did about 1.8 billion to small businesses in that category. And then, you can see the rest of the categories. As you go down, you see we do a significant amount of work in our information technology category. A lot of our procurements for IT services are done under the 541, 519 category. So if you're an IT company, that's definitely a NAICS code that you want to consider having on your SAM profile if you're interested in working with GSA, because we do a lot of our obligations in that category when it comes to IT services. In working with the federal government and GSA, you want to make sure that you take the necessary steps that are going to lead you into the federal market. And the way you do that is with the data. Data can help you find answers to the unknown. It can help you be proactive in capturing potential opportunities that could help increase your sales pipeline. Now, here is just an outline of the steps. One of the things that I really highly recommend is that you identify which federal agencies purchase the thing that you sell. Not every agency buys everything. I gave you the top 10 NAICE codes for GSA. So if you sell something that is outside of our NAICE codes, you want to go find the agency that better suits you. Okay, because as a small business, you only have so much time in the day and you have to figure out which rabbit you're going to chase. And so you want to make sure you are chasing the agencies that buy the most of the thing or the services that you provide. You also want to know how much we're buying. Okay, you want to know how much we're buying, how often we're buying it, how we are buying it, if we are using set asides to do it. I spoke earlier about the small disadvantaged business category. That is one of the socioeconomic categories that GSA uses, and that again we could help you some, support in increasing our obligations in that area. You want to know who your competitors are. Okay. You want to know when contracts are expiring. So there are a lot of, things that you want to make sure that you're aware of. Make sure that you're using that data to navigate the areas that you're going to focus on. One of the great things here at GSA, we have some really good training similar to this that shows you how to navigate some of that data. The GSA eTools is one of those classes, and I think we have something like that scheduled with the chamber. So you definitely want to log in for that one if you want some more nuts and bolts on how to actually obtain some of the data that I'm speaking about. When you as a business are looking to work with the federal government and access some of our numerous procurement opportunities, you have to understand what are some of the minimum requirements in order to work with the federal government. First off, you must be registered in sam.gov to be eligible to submit offers for consideration. And you definitely have to be registered and current in order to get a contract award. Be sure that you use the actual, government website, because there's really no reason for a vendor to pay a third party to do it for you. Just go directly to the website that I listed here. GSA has a really good page that I'm sharing here with you, where we, give you the nuts and bolts of SAM, and it kind of takes you step by step. So you definitely want to visit our page if you have some questions about getting yourself registered. Also, you want to make sure that you are getting, your UEI number, okay, in the federal government. In order for you to be registered in SAM, you have to have your unique entity identifier. Okay. Some people may have, known that in the older days as the DUNS number, but the federal government retired the use of DUNS numbers in 2022, and now they've been replaced with UEI numbers. So you want to make sure that you have your UEI number, that you get registered in SAM, and that you also identify your NAICE codes under your registration. When doing business with the government, keep in mind that we purchase according to NAICE codes. A NAICE is the North American Industry Classification System, and it's the standard used by the federal statistical agencies in classifying businesses, and we use it to collect and analyze data regarding the U.S. business economy. It's really the way that any federal entity is going to go out on the market and request your goods or services. They're always going to identify it by the NAICE code. It is the foundation of establishing your size standard as a business. Okay, the number of employees that you have within the last 12 months, your gross receipts, all of that determines whether or not you are considered a large or small business according to SBA. And the NAICE code is the driver of that. Okay. And I also put the census.gov link here for the NAICE code so that you can go on, see which NAICE code best aligns with your business services or goods, so that when you are registering in SAM, that you put the correct NAICE codes. Because in order for you to circle back and start inquiring about, opportunities within GSA, you have to first be registered in SAM and have your NAICS code, okay? Once you have met the minimum requirements to, get registered in SAM and start, looking at opportunities under your business line, what are some of the ways that you can, sell to the government? I talked to you about who we are at GSA, some of the things that, we purchase. I spoke to you about how you can get in contact with one of us to find out some of the more nuanced ways of working with GSA. So, as a contracting officer for over 25 years, I can tell you that we have some of the best ways now to sell to the federal government. We have commercial platforms. We have small business set-asides. There are a number of ways that you can reach us. I listed here some of the commercial platforms, and actually, I have 3 listed, but we really have 6 now. If you are interested in some of our smaller micro purchases and sell products, things that are, can be sold $10,000 or less, you want to look at our use of Amazon Business, Fisher Scientific, and Overstock Government. These are online solutions used by the government agencies. And although they're managed by non-government entities, we in the federal government have our own platform, and contracting officers and credit card holders within the federal government go on these systems day to day, and they're purchasing some of the items that they need within, that $10,000 or less area. Just to name some of the agencies that are really heavy users of it: the Department of Agriculture, Commerce, Defense, Energy, and Education. They do a lot of purchases under some of these commercial platforms. So if you, have some items that align with it, you definitely want to consider getting on those. Also, small business set-asides. Every federal government entity has a requirement for items that are between $10,000 and $250,000. They have to be automatically set aside for small businesses, as long as there are 2 companies that can provide the product or services at a reasonable price. One of the things that I did want to highlight, that you must be certified as a small business to be eligible to compete for a set-aside contract. And that's back to what I was discussing with the SAM.gov registration. You have to have all of that information done and all of those registrations current in order for you to be considered for our small business set-asides. Another top area is just contracts, okay? When, all else fails, you can get just a simple contract within the federal government. And contracts range from $10,000 all the way to billions of dollars. GSA has a number of ways that we execute our contracts. We do open market contracts. We do our contracts through contracting vehicles. We use the commercial platforms, and we use small business set-asides. Those are some of the ways that, we as an agency execute our contracts. And when I say contracting vehicles, I'm talking about the multiple award schedule that I mentioned, the GWACs, which are the government-wide acquisition contracts, blanket purchase agreements. Those are some of the interagency things that we utilize, that businesses can compete and become a part of that list, that pool of vendors, so that when an opportunity arises, we're going to come to you and ask you to submit a package for it. I've spoken quite a bit about our GSA multiple award schedule, and so I wanted to take a few minutes to just kind of give you a brief overview of what it is. What is a GSA schedule? It is an indefinite delivery, a definite quantity, long-term contract. Most of our mass contract holders, they have contracts for about 20 years. They have a 5-year base with 4 option years. So they're going to be about a 20-year contract. It is a fast and convenient way for the federal government to buy goods and services. About 21% of the overall federal procurement spending was done under the GSA multiple award schedule. That's a significant amount. That's about $50 billion a year. Okay. And I mentioned earlier that the majority of the schedule holders are small businesses. About 80% of them are small businesses. And it does require a commitment. When you enter into a multiple award schedule, as I indicated, it's an actual contract. So we are going to be expecting you to provide the goods and services that you are under contract to provide. So just keep that into consideration that, it's great to get a multiple award schedule, but it's an actual contract, and we're going to expect you to perform according to the contract terms. There are 12 categories within the multiple award schedule program. We've streamlined that. We've made these categories pretty, easy to identify. If you look at them, you should be able to easily identify if you fall within, some of these categories, whether it's professional services, furniture, facilities maintenance, things like that. We do have some training that we conduct as an agency on the multiple award schedule that does get a little bit more into detail about these different categories, what's considered under the human capital category. If you're interested in getting on schedule, what are the steps to do that? That's a separate training course that if you are interested, we definitely can get you some information on that. I wanted to highlight some of the overarching prerequisites though. Make sure that you've been in business for 2 years. Okay. In order to be on our multiple award schedule, you have to have been in business for 2 years. We're also going to be looking at the sales that you've had under your company during that time. Make sure you have the ability to demonstrate your past performance. You have to have some type of past performance in order for us to evaluate you to determine if you are a good fit. Make sure that your items are commercially available. Okay. And one of the biggest things is make sure that they're Trade Agreement Act compliant. And that's especially important for our vendors who provide to us IT products. Okay. You want to make sure that those items are TAA compliant. And again, just wanted to give you some things to consider, if you are interested in learning more about our schedule program. Again, it's a contract. We're expecting you to have sales. And one of the things that we have done is we've made it a lot more small business friendly, because now the sales, we give you 5 years to reach $100,000 in sales. Okay. So that is a significant amount of time in order for you to make sure that you're being successful on the schedule. The time, I will tell you that becoming a schedule holder, here I indicated 18 to 24 months, but really that is, at the higher end. We have a group of professionals over in that mass department who are working with small businesses and getting a lot of them onboarded within 6 to 12 months. So I will say that if you're interested in it, I always tell small businesses, make sure that you go through the steps, okay, on your own to find out if you can do it. There are a lot of consultants out there who are fee for service to help with the GSA multiple award schedule. But it's really, we've streamlined that process so that it's really no reason for you to, pay someone else to do it for you. I would highly recommend that you give it a try on your own. You also, we have a springboard process that we are using. We're letting, actually, they've expanded the springboard. And initially, it started out if you were an IT company that we had a streamlined process. But now all of the categories pretty much are utilizing the springboard category, because one of the unique features about the multiple award schedule is that contractors come on that platform, they come on and they go off. Okay. So we keep that solicitation open continuously. Okay. So the opportunity to become a multiple award schedule is always standing. So we provided some exceptions to like key personnel, If you have recently started your small business within the last year or so, and you may not necessarily have been in business for 2 years, but you worked in that industry, okay? You worked in that industry and now you're starting your own business. We will give you credit, for your time, as key personnel in the industry. So there's some nuanced ways that you can, expedite getting on our schedule. And as I mentioned earlier, I really, recommend that you take a look at some of the tools that we have provided as an agency in order for you to navigate our multiple award schedule. We have a roadmap, and this link takes you directly to it, and it takes you step by step on the things that you would need in order to submit your package to be considered for the multiple award schedule. As I mentioned earlier, selling to GSA involves, just general contracts. And one of the best ways for you to keep abreast of some of our opportunities that are going to be procured outside of some of the existing contracting vehicles, such as the multiple award schedule, is on SAM.gov. And SAM.gov is the System for Award Management, the official site for the federal government, for not only entities to register to do business with the government, but also for agencies to post opportunities. When we have things that we as the federal government need to purchase, we are going to put it on sam.gov. If it's an action that is open to all entities, and we also put our small business set-asides out there, so it's a great way for you to go on and find out what we have out there. And here is just a snapshot of the website. It's simple, sam.gov. And when you go into it, there's some ways that you can navigate and streamline your search. I went in here, the sample I have here is I put in our primary NAICS code, which is the construction NAICS code, and found that, we have a renovation coming up at the Ronald Reagan building here in the Washington, D.C. area. So there's some really good opportunities out there. So sam.gov is definitely a tool that you should be using for not just GSA, but for all of the federal agencies. Again, I mentioned to you, stream down to your top 5 agencies, okay? Make it manageable. You should be able to find opportunities for those agencies and see if they are something that you could perform within your firm. Another great way to sell to and work with the federal government is through subcontracting. Subcontracting allows small businesses to sell to the government by partnering with a large business prime contractor. GSA has a great subcontracting directory, and you can find potential large business prime contractors. These contractors have received awards with GSA. Keep in mind that any other than small business entity that receives an award that exceeds $750,000 for general services or 1.5 million for construction contracts, they are required to do a subcontracting plan, which means they are required to seek out small businesses to provide some of the work, some of the opportunities under that contract to those businesses. Now, the SBTAs in my office are here to assist you with marketing your products and services to the prime contractors. We can give you some tools on how you can locate them in this system. And not just in this system, but I mentioned the GSA e-tools. We go a little bit in depth also about some of the other online tools that are available to find some prime contractors. Again, work with the prospective OSDBU offices, because sometimes we do prime networking opportunities where we bring in small businesses to network with small businesses. So there are a number of ways that you can find out about subcontracting opportunities within our agency, but the GSA subcontracting directory is definitely a great start. One additional area that I wanted to cover when working with us is how to find some of those opportunities on our forecast of contract and opportunities tool. The website is listed there. We launched it in March of 2016. And it really focuses on acquisition planning and increasing awareness of potential prime and subcontracting opportunities. Really, the goal is for us as an agency is to get information out to you, the small businesses, before the action is actually hits the street. We wanted to make sure that small businesses knew what we had coming down the pipeline before it actually hit the street. Here I list that we have about 6 agencies. Actually, good news, just recently, GSA received authority to conduct the forecast of contracting opportunities across the federal government. So you're going to find more than 6 federal agencies on our tool. So you definitely want to go on and take a look at it. Eventually, I think most of the agencies are going to be using the GSA tool. And when you go on to it, the best way to search, in my opinion, is with the NAICS code and with the location. Okay. You want to put in your NAICS code. You want to put in what area you're interested in working in, and it's going to pop up and bring you some information. It's a living document. It is updated daily. We recently did a huge update in November to get all of our FY25 actions in there. So it should be some really good opportunities listed, in the forecast tool. And hold on a second. I was just recently in there in preparation for today's presentation and, ran across several opportunities within this area. Again, the National Capital Region. So this is just a sample of some of the things that you'll find in our forecast tool. So really do recommend that you take a look at it and reach out to our office if you have any questions about it, you need some assistance with navigating it. Here, I just wanted to give you a synopsis of some of the additional solutions that are available to you. I dropped in the forecast tool link, a link to the GSA subcontracting directory. Also, I put the link in for our events page. Here in OSDBU, we do quite a bit of training where we're talking to small businesses about a number of things. We have a really great forecast tool training that is coming up later this month. You can find it on the events page. Go on, register, and we're going to take a deep dive into that forecast tool. It's going to be a demo, so it's some really great opportunities for you to get some additional training from us. And here are just some of the partner resources that we work with: SBA, the Minority Business Development Agency. All of these are entities that you can reach out to as a small business to get additional support in working with the federal government. And of course, today's webinar is being brought to you by the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce. So they are definitely a really great advocate for small businesses. And that concludes the actual presentation part of my webinar today. If you guys have any questions, I'll go ahead and start answering some of those.
Thank you so much, Paula. We will allow our participants to put your question in the Q&A field of this webinar. There's one question that came through our email, and this is about GSA schedule process. How can I determine if my products or services fit within the GSA multiple award schedule, also known as MAS?
When you go onto the roadmap that I mentioned earlier, there's a really great cross-reference tool that they have in there where you can put in like your NAICS code and it'll tell you like which schedule category you fall under. And again, if you reach out to one of the small business counselors, we can kind of help you navigate that also.
And one more question, you did touch on the marketing and sales. This question is about, you briefly talked on tools and platforms. Can you explain what the GSA Advantage or eBuy is?
GSA Advantage is the marketplace. Okay. It's where GSA has all of the items that are available under the multiple award schedule. They're housed under our GSA Advantage page. The eBuy is the actual system that is utilized by the contracting officers to issue requests for information, requests for quotes under the multiple award schedule program. Some of the actual GWACs that we utilize also, you can actually submit, solicitations under eBuy. So eBuy is more of the tool that is used to send out, actions when we have a need. And a lot of contractors who are multiple award schedule holders, they do a lot of good market research under that eBuy tool also, because it gives you some really good information on things that we are buying or other agencies may be purchasing.
These are questions live. Next question is, how do we find the agencies that buy our goods and services? And is there a greater need for beauty products and services outside of corrections and Carter Barron Amphitheater?
Mhm. The best way to find out who your top 5 federal agencies are is, number one, you have to have your NAICE code. Okay. You're going to have to make sure you're registered on SAM, get your NAICE code, and then you can do some research under some of the online tools like fpds.gov. That's a really great one. You can also go on the GSA e-library. Again, we do a session, the GSA e-tools, where we take you into the nuts and bolts of some of that research, okay? Because, the information is out there, and, you can go in and you can find it, and we show you how to narrow it down to find out, hey, is the VA buying my beauty products, And you may find that no federal agency may be buying, what under your NAICE code. And you need to know that so that you can better move on to the areas that are best suited for your business. But yeah, there is a way, to do that. We can work with you individually to do it. You can attend the GSA eTools class that we have coming up in January. That's a really great one to attend. And so I highly recommend that you get with one of our small business specialists, or attend that training so you can learn a little bit more about how to do it.
All right. Well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions in the Q&A field. I'm actually going to turn it over now to, wait, we might have one more question. Sorry, one more question. There was a question about reach out. It says, when you say reach out, what is the best form of communication?
You can email us.
Email, and the
Yeah.
email has been shared, and it looks like Kevin is responding. So thank you so much, Kevin. And he's getting back to them now. So thank you so much. Do we have Alexander Austin, our president of the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce, if you would like to give any remarks at the time?
Tiffany, thank you. I just want to again thank Paula and the team at GSA for an informative presentation. I know I took a lot of notes. Look forward to an extended partnership, and to everyone who's invested their time with us this afternoon. Definitely want to thank you as well for joining us. We're looking forward to doing more business. And again, it's about really moving the ecosystem. So very excited about the conversation, the opportunity, and the future.
All right, thank you, Alex. Again, thank you all for joining us this afternoon for our Empowering Businesses, how to navigate the federal marketplace and how to do business with GSA. This webinar will be shared with you all in an email. And make sure you register when we share the information for part 2 in January. We'll have GSA come back as well. So you all have a great afternoon, and thank you so much for joining. Paula, thank you so much. Great presentation. You all have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.